Hi, and welcome back. Today we're going to be working on compound sentence structure. My previous video was explaining the subject-verb intransitive SVI pattern and the subject-verb-transitive direct object, the SVTDO pattern. If those are still complicated, go back and review that video and then come back here so we can continue on with the SVTDO pattern and adding the new structure of the compound sentence. So let's define our things before we even get started in diagramming. First, what is a compound sentence? A compound sentence must contain at least two independent clauses connected by a coordinating conjunction. So what's an independent clause? An independent clause is a clause, which means it will contain both a subject and a verb, but an independent clause also expresses a complete thought. And our coordinating conjunctions, those we like to refer to as fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And we remember that by remembering fanboys. So today we're going to practice compound sentence structure with two independent clauses connected by a fanboy's coordinating conjunction. Here's our first sentence. The dog fetched the ball and the cat chased the laser. So before we even get started, we need to identify what our independent clauses are. We're going to underline each independent clause with a solid line. So our first independent clause that expresses a complete thought is the dog fetched the ball. That's our first independent clause. Our second independent clause is the cat chased the laser. That also expresses a complete thought. And they are combined together with a coordinating conjunction. That word and is one of our fanboys, the coordinating conjunctions. So when we go to parse and diagram our sentence, we need to start with our very first independent clause. We're going to go through the whole process, and then we'll start the process again for our second independent clause. So we're going to start with our question confirmation. We're going to look at the dog fetched the ball. So who or what fetched the ball? Who or what is this independent clause about? Dog. So we're going to label dog as our subject noun. Now, what is being said about dog? Dog what? Dog fetched. That is going to be our verb. Now, we ask, dog fetched whom or what? What was it that the dog fetched? Dog fetched ball. Now, before we can identify what ball is doing in this sentence, we need to see, does ball receive action from our verb? The verb is fetched. Does ball receive action from fetched? It does. So in this case, ball is the direct object of our sentence, which means that fetched is a verb transitive. So the only words we have left in this independent clause are the word the twice. And we know that the word the is one of our article adjectives, so we can label both of them AJ for adjective. So we're done with that first independent clause. Now we can move on to our second independent clause in this sentence. The second clause says, the cat chased the laser. So who or what chased the laser? Cat. Cat is going to be the subject noun of our second independent clause. And what is being said about cat? Cat what? Cat chased. We're going to label chased as our verb. Cat chased whom or what? Cat chased laser. Now, does laser receive action from chased? It does. So that makes chased a verb transitive, and laser is going to be our direct object. And once again, we have the word the twice here in this independent clause. Both of those we'll label as adjectives because they are article adjectives. So now that we have our whole sentence parsed and labeled appropriately, we can go on to diagramming. The very first thing we're going to do is set up our pattern SVTDO diagram for our first independent clause. The long line is going to go all the way across. The line is going to split all the way through, separating the subject from the predicate. And then I'm going to draw a second vertical line that meets the horizontal line over here, separating the verb from the direct object. So our subject in the subject place is dog. We have a verb transitive, fetched. And then we have a direct object, ball. Now we have to figure out where our words the belong. Those are acting as adjectives, and adjectives can only modify nouns or pronouns. So which nouns or pronouns are these adjectives modifying? So in this case, the dog, so we're modifying which dog was it? It was the dog. So our first the is modifying dog, and we'll go on a diagonal line underneath. And remember, we need to keep that T capitalized because that's how it was in our original sentence. That was the first word in our sentence. So we're going to maintain the capitalization in our diagram. So the dog fetched which ball? The ball. So our second the is also going to go on the diagonal line underneath the word ball. So our first independent clause is diagrammed. Now let's add to it by diagramming our second independent clause. This clause is also an SVTDO pattern. So we're going to start by making that line appropriately SVTDO. So what is our subject? Cat. Our verb transitive is chased. And laser is our direct object. Which cat was it? The cat. So that's modifying cat. That'll go on the diagonal line. And which laser was it? The laser. The second the will go under laser. Our two independent clauses are diagrammed. Now we have to figure out how to connect them. This is what makes the compound sentence structure, is that word and. It's one of our coordinating conjunctions. So that means it needs to sit on a special seat. Our fanboys, for and, nor, but, or, yet, so, are coordinating conjunctions, and they get to sit on a special seat. So the seat is going to be right in between our two independent clauses, and the word and is going to sit right on top of it. And now we're going to connect the two independent clauses with our coordinating conjunction by dotted lines connecting our verbs together. So in this case, fetched and the word chased is going to be connected to our coordinating conjunction. That's it. We've diagrammed our entire compound sentence clause here. Two independent clauses and a fanboy coordinating conjunction. Let's move on to another one. This one's going to be a little more difficult because this time we're going to use the imperative purpose. Do you remember what imperative means? Those are our commands. That means we're not going to have an obvious subject for our sentence. The object is always going to be the implied you when you use an imperative sentence. So let's try this one now. Whisk the brownies or use the mixer. So we're going to start right away by asking our question confirmation. Who or what whisk the brownies? Again, this is a command. The subject is sort of hidden in this case. It is the implied you. You mix the brownies. We have a subject pronoun. It is that implied you in the imperative form. You, what? What is being said about you? You whisk. Whisk is our verb. Now, you whisk whom or what? Brownies. Does brownies receive action from whisk? It does. That means brownies is a direct object and whisk is a verb transitive. So you whisk brownies. Now, once again, we have the word the as an adjective. Which brownies are you mixing? The brownies. The is an adjective. That's an article adjective. Let's look at our second independent clause. Use the mixer. Who or what use the mixer? Who or what is this sentence about? Again, it's a command. Use the mixer. That means you. Implied you is our subject pronoun for this independent clause. You use the mixer. So you is our subject pronoun. Now, what is being said about you? You what? You use. We're going to label use as our verb. You use whom or what? Mixer. Now, is mixer receiving action from use? It is. That makes our verb use a verb transitive. And mixer is going to be our direct object. Now, we still have the word the. Once again, which mixer? The mixer. That is an adjective. We'll label that adjective as one of our article adjectives. And finally, we have or. For and, nor, but, or, yet so. Or is one of our coordinating conjunctions. That's one of our fanboys. So we're going to label or as a coordinating conjunction. So now we're done. labeling all of our parts of our sentence, and we can get on to diagramming it. So no matter what, the first thing we're always going to do is draw out the pattern for SVTDO. That's the sentence pattern we have in our sentence. So long horizontal line, one vertical line splits through, and the other one meets that line. Our subject, in this case, was a subject pronoun. That's the implied you. We're going to keep you in those parentheses to remind us that it was implied and it wasn't actually a part of our original sentence. In this case, we're going to keep the Y capitalized because if it were to be a part of the sentence, it would be the first word, you whisk the brownies. So we're going to keep you capitalized within parentheses on our diagram line. That's our subject pronoun. You, our verb transitive is whisk, and our direct object is brownies. The is modifying brownies. Which brownies? The brownies. So we're going to make a diagonal line under brownies for the word the. And we're done with the first independent clause. Let's look at the second. Once again, we're going to start with our pattern for SVTDO. And this time, you use the mixer. Once again, that you is implied, so we're going to keep it in parentheses, but this time that Y can stay lowercase because it's no longer the beginning of our sentence. So you is going to go in the subject pronoun place. You mix, you use. Use is our verb transitive, and then you use mixer. The direct object is the mixer. We're going to put that in the direct object place. The is our article adjective modifying mixer. We're going to put that on a diagonal line underneath. The only thing left is our fanboys coordinating conjunction or, and they always get to sit on a special seat. So that's going to be right in between our two independent clauses, or is going to sit right on the special seat. And we're always going to connect our independent clauses by their verbs. So in this case, we're going to connect with dotted lines from whisk down to use, and or is going to sit on its special seat right in the middle. Hopefully that helps get a basic understanding of compound sentence structure and a little extra practice on the SVTDO sentence pattern. If you have any other suggestions of videos that you want to see, please make sure you leave us comments so we can help you and help your students, and whatever you need assistance with during your school year, we want to help and come alongside. So let us know what could be helpful to you.